Just southeast of St. George, Utah, there is a trail that was used by the early Mormon settlers to freight timbers from the mountains to their temple. This trail winds through the dry, desolate wild, but in this barren landscape, beauty can still be found. Prickly pears blossom in splendor, and wildflowers speckle the land. And canyons, the Mormon settlers hauled their cargo. The rocky path was difficult at best to pull heavy wagons over, and there was a great sigh of relief when these industrious people made it to their destination. Our expedition of 3 friends traveled only a part of the trail, heading toward Trumball Mountain, while the hard-working Mormon settlers traveled over 80 miles one way. We could only manage 40 before needing to turn back. Passed through a canyon carved by centuries of water, grinding its way to lower ground. So steep were the sides of the canyon, the trail we followed switchbacked up to a small flat, and then descended into a long, narrow valley where the Mormon wagons traveled in very nearly a straight line. This valley is known by the locals as the Lower Hurricane Valley. Modern-day ranchers have built roads across the flat to tend to their cattle. Yet the Mormon Trail still exists today. Wagon wheel ruts are still evident after over 130 years. The Bureau of Land Management has marked the Temple Trail along what ranchers call the Navajo Trail with a sign. At length, we reached the goal of the day's ride, to climb the Hurricane Cliffs, or Hurricane Rim as the locals call it, where the Mormon settlers brought timbers down into the valley. In just a mile and a half, our group of friends climbed almost 500 feet. During the transportation of timbers, Mormon workmen moved rocks to the side of the path to avoid the risk of a broken wagon wheel from bouncing over them. Over the years, rain and weather have eroded some portions so coarse it is easier to follow near the trail. Rocks have been unearthed by the ever-wearing forces of nature, while soil has been washed downhill. There is hope the local ATV club will restore the original trail. Despite the soil being washed away, flowers still grow. Some struggle and grow in the very cracks of the rocks to provide for the world with their beauty. Wild daisies show their glory to the world on the steep hillside where one can look from south to north at the expanse of nature and see the daunting task in store for the Mormon laborers. Here, the original trail had been washed away so much a new path needed to be found. The only available path was up a shale hillside. Loose talus makes for difficult progression, yet once on the original trail again, the opportunity to view the panorama presents itself in all its glory. After all other obstacles have been achieved, the last and most difficult one must be overcome. Stan approaches each rock ledge with care and precision. So off-camber and so steep is the trail, one false move could have disastrous consequences. He uses his four-wheel drive to prevent any unnecessary bouncing while he crawls over each shelf with care. At length, he reaches the safety of the top, leaving Mike to face the intimidating path. Mike also uses his four-wheel drive to climb each outcropping of rock. Yet his machine has too high of a gear to crawl like the other ATV. Some bouncing was unavoidable in order to reach the top, but Mike safely handles the obstacle. Forced to turn back, our expedition traveled good roads to return home that night. An opportunity the hardy souls shipping timbers did not have. Once on top of the Hurricane Rim, places to descend are limited. Once built, faithful Mormons would travel to the temple from such towns as Kanab down what is known as the Honeymoon Trail. Still in use in the early 20th century, faithful pilgrims drove everything from wagon trains to automobiles, such as the Ford Model T, up and down the trail. One last wash to cross, the expedition heads toward home. What took the Mormon settlers 4 days to achieve, we did in only 6 hours. The Temple Trail stands today as a reminder of what the power of faith can accomplish.